So one of the truly great hallmarks of this event is that we honor the most important and impactful educators on the planet. And this year is no exception. These educators, often at great personal sacrifice, make the world a better place for children everywhere.
At GSV, we often say that we envision a world where all people get equal access to the future. And the tremendous educator that we are going to honor tonight, and I know you're all going to want to join me in honoring her, has done so much in dedicating her life to that cause, to create great educational experiences for children here in America and across the world.
So now, please join us for a brief video honoring our Lifetime Achievement Award winner. Let's go.
Wendy Kopp is simply one of my heroes.
Wendy is a visionary, an inspirer, and a doer.
She is innately someone who just wants to tackle challenges and solve them. When she was in middle school, she went to work at a craft shop and ended up redoing the entire inventory and layout of the store. She's just someone who sees things as they could be and then wants to make that happen.
I definitely consider Wendy to be a visionary. She started Teach for America 33 years ago, and look at what has been accomplished.
It never would have occurred to me that I would spend my career in education, never. I really didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't start thinking about that until I was a senior in college. Our generation was known as the me generation, and supposedly we just all wanted to go work in banks on Wall Street. I just knew that wasn't true. The recruiters from banks and consulting firms were banging down our doors asking us to commit just 2 years to work in their firms. And that's what led me to this idea. Why aren't we being recruited just as aggressively to commit 2 years to teach in urban and rural public schools?
She became so obsessed with the idea. She turned it into her senior thesis, and then she became so obsessed in writing the thesis that she had to start Teach for America.
Will the undergraduate members of the Woodrow Wilson School of Public and International Affairs please rise?
She graduated in June of '89. 1 year later, 500 of the first Teach for America Corps members arrived in California for training to begin their 2-year commitment to teach in some of the most under-resourced urban and rural public schools in the United States.
I have grown up under Wendy's leadership. When I was in college, I was very focused on becoming an attorney. Teach for America swept me off my feet. I joined the Corps in 1998 and then made my way to working for the organization.
When I graduated from college, the thing that made most sense to me was Teach for America. That 2 years of teaching middle school Spanish in the South Bronx changed my life. And I've been in education now for 30 years. I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for Teach for America and Wendy Kopp.
What we're working to do is to enlist folks, invest in their development, knowing that with the foundation of all that they learned during those 2 years of teaching, they'll go on to be the leaders we need for the rest of their lives.
I know we need great lawyers, I know we need great doctors, I know we need great scientists, but our nation needs great teachers for the kids and the communities that have been historically underserved. By far, Teach for America has been the greatest producer of talent coming into the education sector. And the transition to Teach for All, literally across the planet, across the globe, was just a natural extension of her life's work.
Teach for All is a fascinating example of how success creates opportunities for scale.
I had my head down, fully focused on making Teach for America bigger and better. I'd never thought about the rest of the world. But about maybe 17 years ago, I heard from people in 13 countries asking for help.
It wasn't Wendy saying, I want to expand this globally. She just listens well, saw the opportunity to be able to accelerate impact. And at the end of the day, what drives Wendy is impact.
She took the leap and started a network, Teach for All, that serves more than 60 countries.
100,000 fellows around the world have joined this leadership program and now are impacting more than 13 million students. That is incredible. She really has inspired us. We all have the common vision and mission to make sure that every child fulfills their potential.
No one works harder for kids, most of whom she'll never meet. She still is up every day working by 4 a.m., seeing amazing leaders in these countries make a difference, lean into the challenge, come up with solutions for their country. That's what gets her up in the morning.
To see her impact children and young people across the planet, it's just amazing to see, and no one else could have done what Wendy's done.
Thank you for knowing that it is worth fighting for our kids. We owe you so much.
Congratulations, Wendy, on over 30 years of making this world a better place for young people here in the United States and in 60 plus countries across the world.
Congratulations, Wendy, on this Lifetime Achievement Award. Your leadership is a source of inspiration for us all.
You have given me and so many around the world the biggest gift one can ever receive, a life of purpose.
Thank you for all you do to ensure all kids across the globe have an excellent education.
Many years ago, a seed that you planted is now impacting millions of children across the world. No one else is more deserving of this award, Wendy.
Grazie, Wendy, and congratulations.
Wow, what have I been doing with my life?
Not much, Adam, apparently. None of us compared to Wendy.
We want to say a few words about Wendy, and we want to welcome those of you who are in the back. If you're in the back, can you wave? Come on up and join us. Thank you. Come on up and join us at the tables. Wendy's going to say a few words, and we're so excited to hear from her, so please do join us. And a quick program note, which is that sound carries in the shell. That was how it was designed, but it carries both ways. So just be aware if you're talking, we wouldn't want to talk over Wendy. So that's my best attempt at being a school teacher.
Okay. Okay, so please join us in giving a rousing welcome to our Lifetime Achievement Award winner, Wendy Kopp.
All right, so all of you know Wendy, so it's silly for me to introduce her, but let me say a few words. Wendy is the CEO and co-founder of Teach for All, a global network of independent organizations in 60 countries across every region of the world, and she is also the founder and creator of Teach for America. You are amazing. Can we ask you to say a few words, and congratulations on this Lifetime Achievement Award.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
I'm going to take the award off stage while you talk, but I will give it back.
Perfect.
Okay.
I don't know.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ASU+GSV. Thank you, everyone, for all your support. And mostly, thank you to all the people in that video and so many others who have contributed to this collective effort that is Teach for America and now the Teach for All network. I want to thank my husband, Richard, who you heard from, who, as some of you know, was one of the founding team members of Teach for America, and who, as a husband, has always thought that it was super important for the world that I do this work and super important for our kids, and who never lost sight of that, even when we had 4 kids under the age of 8, and I personally was losing my mind. So truly, I want to thank him. I want to thank Elisa, who has poured her heart and mind and soul into the incredibly challenging work of leading Teach for America forward over the last decade. I want to thank Juan Manuel and all those other incredible entrepreneurs around the world and their teams who have innovated on and adapted and improved this approach that brings us all together across Teach for All and have helped shape Teach for All into the beautiful global network that it is. I want to thank all the partners, the educators, the donors who have made literally millions of choices over the last 34 years, some small, some big, that have come together to each one of them help put this collective effort on a better trajectory. And finally, and most importantly, I want to thank especially all those people who committed just 2 years to teach, who never left the work, and whose energy and leadership has led to the impact that I'm being recognized for tonight. I have to admit that I am somewhat hesitant about this whole Lifetime Achievement Award thing. And the reason I say that is not only that this whole effort of Teach for America, Teach for All is such a collective one, but is also because there is simply so much left to be done. And I personally feel that I'm just getting started. But I'm accepting it really as a tribute to all those people who've collectively contributed to this work, and also as a boost for the huge amount of work that has yet to come and to be done. And with that, I do want to share two things that are on my mind as being super important right now at this kind of juncture in our country and in the world. The first is just about the importance of this purpose that animates all of us across Teach for All, to develop collective leadership to ensure all kids fulfill their potential. And the reason I want to talk about that is because I want to be sure that all of you aren't just thinking that this has been achieved, because there's just so much work left in front of us to develop the collective leadership we need in communities all over the world to ensure that the systems around kids are equitable and that they prepare them to thrive. Truly, 34 years ago, when I came up with this idea as a college student, I never could have envisioned the leadership it would generate, right? Like the incredible hearts, minds, and souls all around the world that would be drawn to it, the transformative impact of those 2 years on them, the fact that they would never leave the work, the fact that they would end up working at every level of the education system and policy and inside and outside the system to ultimately challenge the unjust systems that we exist to address. I could never have envisioned that. I also probably had no idea that really that's the key to changing systems. I think there is a notion in the world, and I said this earlier today, but that system change is policy change. And yet what I think we all know who've been at this work is that when outcomes change for kids in communities, it is about policy change, but it's also about change in practice, change in culture, and that means that the key is collective leadership. It is people in government exerting leadership and their allies at every other level of the education system, and their allies outside the system, right? The advocates pushing on the system, the innovators making up for the gaps in the system. Ultimately, it is about collective leadership. People who share purpose, vision, and values, working around the whole ecosystem around kids, diverse leadership led by the people who themselves experience the inequities, and so importantly, their allies who have a lot more privilege, all working together, learning together, and collaborating to do what needs to be done. So I say that because truly we're just getting started in this effort to develop the collective leadership necessary to ensure that ultimately all kids thrive. And we're going to need a lot more ongoing support and partnership to live into the potential we have to help generate that collective leadership. The second thing that's on my mind as being so important right now is just that as educators, I think we need to sort of recognize that we ourselves have maybe the greatest role to play in reshaping the world. And what I mean by that, so on my way here to San Diego, I met with one of those allies, Arthur Rock. Maybe some of you, it's probably helped some of you in the room get your start. He's 96 years old plus. And, you know, I see him all the time because he is one of those people who helped Teach for America live into its potential, right? And Teach for All. He also helps a little bit with our global work. So I'm talking to Arthur, and like the thing is, I feel like the world is falling apart. Pandemics, wars, the planet degrading. I mean, I'm truly thinking, are we even gonna still be here in 20 years? So I asked Arthur, like, has it ever been this bad? And he laughed and was like, are you kidding? It was so much worse. And that's kind of what I mean. It means like, we're still gonna be here in 20, 30 years, we're still gonna be here. And you know what that means? It means we have the opportunity to reshape the world because the kids in our classrooms today have the chance to become the leaders we need to actually create the peaceful, just, sustainable world that we all aspire for. But to live into that is a big responsibility. So I think about the work we've been doing a few years ago, thanks to the push of so many incredible people around the world in the Global Teach for All network. We decided to reorient what we're working towards to ensure that the students in our classrooms and in our communities are developing as leaders who can shape a better future for themselves and for all of us, meaning who can, you know, shape meaningful careers in a changing economy, who can solve these increasingly complex challenges that we face. And as soon as we embraced that vision, we realized we were gonna have to rethink everything, right? The way we train teachers, the way we teach, the way we develop leaders, like everything was gonna need to change because this is not only about growing academic skills, it's about developing students' agency, their awareness of themselves and the world, their sense of empathy, their well-being, and their problem-solving and critical thinking skills, right? And in order to do that, what we've learned is it's a huge undertaking to help all of us adults in the system unlearn how we were taught and learn a different way of seeing the world so that we're seeing our students as whole people who can lead, we're seeing ourselves as learners. It's a big reorientation. And it's so important that all of us in this system today undertake that reorientation if we're going to ensure that this world actually does become the world it has the potential to be. So we need us, and we also need the next generation. And this is the last thing I'm gonna say because it's so important. This generation, meaning the one in colleges today, the one that Teach for America is out there working hard to recruit, we need them. Never has there been a generation more committed to diversity, equity, justice, and sustainability, and we need them to put their money where their mouth is, because we need them to actually get in the arena and tackle and change the unjust systems, which means we're going to need to help them understand that well-being comes from congruence between our values and where we put our energy. It comes from doing things that matter, and it's really hard to imagine an arena that would enable them to pursue something more important than reshaping the world by developing today's students as leaders who can actually tackle these issues that we face and ensure that 20 years from now, we're not in the same circumstance that we're in right now. So thank you again. Thank you for your vote of confidence. Thank you for your ongoing support and partnership. I'm looking forward to many, many more years and hopefully decades of working alongside all of you in work that is so fulfilling, so meaningful, and so unbelievably important. Thank you.